Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to start right on time. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. It's our headquarters. My name is Scott Carroll, CMSD General Manager. I've been here for about 14 years as General Manager. So welcome. We appreciate you being spending your Saturdays here. We probably won't be here too long, but at the same time, though, we will stay here as long as we need to answer all your questions. Obviously, you're here today because you received information from us about our storage separating collection program, which on October 7th, everyone will start receiving a blue lid recycling cart, where you'll be now required to sort separate recyclables, and you put your recyclables in those carts. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Maybe what goes in those carts, questions about storage, questions about placing your carts out in the streets. Hopefully we can address all your concerns and questions. But again, if you do have questions, please, there's these little cards out in front. If you can fill those out, that way I can read them out loud. Everyone can hear the questions and the answers to those questions. You don't have to fill it. If you don't want to fill it, that's fine too. Staff will come around with a microphone and we will address all your concerns and questions.
Here, I'll change it for you.
Yeah, there. Okay, thank you. So a little bit of housekeeping. Exit doors. There's some exit doors right here behind you. The exit door here, and then of course the front doors. Restrooms are right across the hall, just to the right. There's refreshments. Help yourself. Please have the refreshments. We had a workshop last Wednesday. It was at 6 o'clock. And that went around about 7:30, so it was about 30 minutes of our presentation. Then we took about an hour Q&A. So we'll probably get out here around 10:15, I think. And then if you want to leave around 10:15, that's fine. Again, we'll stick around and ask all your questions. If you want to talk to us privately, we'll do that as long as we need to. Okay. If there's any Spanish-speaking residents, we do have a translator here for you, so we can translate for you as well. This meeting is going to be live. It is live streamed on YouTube. So for those who are watching on YouTube, we will address your questions. We won't address them live, but if you have questions, this is the email at info@cmsdca.gov. Send us your questions and we will answer those questions within a day or two. Okay. So before we start kicking off with the presentation, I do want to make some quick introductions. First, I would like to introduce our board president, Mike Schaefer. And our board secretary, Art Perry. And I do also want to recognize some of my employees, because there is a lot of work that goes into planning these meetings, and I can't do it for myself, so I really depend on my staff. And so I want to recognize some of my staff members. First, I want to recognize Nolani Middenway. She's out there in the corners, my district clerk PIO. With her is Angela Kaluga. She's our management analyst. Also operating the presentation is Gina Torino. She's my senior management analyst. Giving the presentation about SB 13.3, you'll hear about here in a few minutes. That is Marissa Ferreira. I also want to recognize Jesus Flores. He helped keep this room looking nice and clean. And then also Chris Johnson, who's helped out with traffic control. And then finally Stephanie Reveles, who's here to help with the Spanish translations. I also want to recognize Sienna Boyd in the back. She's with Peppy Smith. She helped us a lot with the outreach. So you see some of the really colorful outreach that you get in the mail. Her firm helped us with the public outreach. And then we also have two representatives from CNR. We have Mike Carey. He's the senior sustainability manager. And then the senior regional vice president, Julie Beretta. She's going to be giving the presentation about the rollout program. Okay, so with that, next slide, I am going to turn over to Marissa, and she's going to talk about SB 1383. Really, why are we here? Why are we doing this? So I'm going to turn over to Marissa, and she'll explain the reason why we're implementing the curbside program. So.
Hi, good morning. It's lovely to be here. As General Manager Carol said, I'm Marissa Freda. I'm Senior Management Analyst here with the district. And we're here to talk about why we're here, why is the district being required to implement this three-part program, and what does that mean for everyone? So the short answer to that question, why we're here, is Senate Bill 1383. So Senate Bill, or SB 1383, is California state legislation that was passed in 2016. It sets standards to reduce methane emissions and combat climate change by reducing organic waste disposal in our landfills. So when we talk about organic waste disposal, we're talking about green waste, yard waste, food waste, green waste, and things like paper and cardboard. These organic materials make up over half of what's in our California landfills. And when they decompose, they emit methane, trapping heat and contributing to climate change. So in an effort to reduce methane emissions, reduce organic waste disposal, the state has set these requirements for every city, county, and special district that collects solid waste. So there's a number of requirements, namely to collect and recycle organic materials. So as I mentioned, when we talk about organics, we're talking in one group about green waste and food waste. And so SB 1383 requires that all agencies conduct organics recycling. And so the district was actually ahead of the game on this particular front. We started our organics recycling program in 2015. It was the first residential program of its kind in Southern California. So with this program, we're collecting food waste and yard waste, and we're taking it to an anaerobic digestion facility where it's being converted into renewable natural gas and compost. So as I mentioned, this program's been out for 2015. This addresses a huge component of SB 1383, but because we're required to reduce all types of organic waste disposal, there are some other materials that we have to consider. And those are things like paper and cardboard. So in a mixed waste system like ours, we're collecting paper and cardboard along with landfill items that can be wet or dirty and potentially contaminate that paper and cardboard. So to address this and to increase the amount of recyclable items, the state has given jurisdictions with a mixed waste system like ours two different options. So option number one, collect those items in that mixed waste container, send it to a high diversion organic waste processing facility. And what this means is basically that facility is certified and guaranteed to recover 75% of the organic material from that collection. Even with the legislation having come out in 2016, there's currently only 2 of these facilities in the state. There's one in Santa Barbara and one in San Jose. So that was option number one. Option number two is to transition to a 3-part system, which is what we're talking about this morning. So, as I mentioned, there were those 2 options. Costa Mesa Sanitary District Board of Directors evaluated those options and determined that upgrading the facility to a high diversion facility was cost prohibitive and elected to move forward with a 3-part system. So in January 2023, as required by SB 1383, the board approved an amendment to our agreement with CR&R to incorporate the SB 1383 requirements, including this 3-part system. So something very important to talk about when we talk about SB 1383 is that this is an unfunded mandate. So what that means is that this is mandating that the district and other counties and cities and special districts implement these programs, but the state is not funding these programs. Because of that, the cost for these programs does come from the solid waste collection rate. So when we talk about increased costs for the 3-part system, we're talking about things like the purchase of approximately 23,000 recycling carts, the purchase and maintenance of 2 additional collection trucks, the additional staff to drive those trucks, and then the administrative costs associated with SB 1383 compliance. So given that, in June of this year, the district held a public hearing. The board of directors adopted new solid waste rates to increase amounts to $3.31 per month. The new annual rate is $328.92. This is collected on your annual property tax bill. We do have our solid waste rate study notice and supporting documentation on our website. you'd like to read and learn more, and feel free to always call in questions. The web address is listed there, www.cmsdca.gov/solid waste rates. So something additional to keep in mind when we talk about the system and SB 1383 is, again, this is a statewide mandate. Every county, city, special district that collects solid waste is required to implement these programs. And we're actually the last of the cities in Orange County to transition to this three-part system. And then the final thing that I'd like to talk about this morning is our landfills. So when we talk about reducing organic waste disposal, we're talking about reducing methane emissions, but we're also just talking about preserving the capacity of our land, reducing what we're putting there. Orange County currently has 3 active landfills. They accept waste from 34 cities and unincorporated areas. The first of these is scheduled to begin the closure process in fiscal year 26-27. And so while these aren't going to be closing tomorrow, the more that we put into them, the quicker they will close. Once the landfills are at capacity, waste from Orange County residents will need to be transported to other areas. And when that does happen, disposal costs will increase because of that extra transportation cost. So just something else to keep in mind when we're talking about reducing the waste that we're putting in our landfills. And that's all waste, organic waste, but just in general, just to help preserve that capacity and keep costs as low as we can for as long as we can. So that concludes my presentation on SB 1383 and why we're here. And I would just like to remind everyone that we do have those question cards. So if you have questions, please feel free to write those down, and then we'll address all of those in our presentation. Up next, we have Julie Beretta, Senior Regional Vice President with CRMR, and she's going to talk about the 3-part rollout and the program. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to speak into a little more of the details of what's going to happen. Really challenged. All right. So as a follow-up to what Marissa discussed, I'm going to get to the details, as I mentioned, about when this is going to happen. So beginning the week of October 7th, we will be delivering recycle carts to every resident. This is approximately a 12-week process, so it'll take us to about the end of the year to complete. And what will be happening is when we deliver, we talk about a 3-container system. When we deliver the recycle cart, we will be removing one of your existing mixed waste carts. And I'm going to make this statement now because this came up in some questions before. If you only have one mixed waste cart, you will leave, we won't take one away. But as part of the current agreement, a lot of folks have 2 mixed waste carts and 1 organics cart. So the recycle cart is meant to replace one of your mixed waste carts if you have more than one. I just wanted to make that. And that will happen at the same time that we're delivering, we'll take one away. So just to restate, you'll be left with a 3-cart system that everyone has pretty much throughout the state. 1 landfill cart with a black lid, 1 recycle cart with a blue lid, and 1 organics cart with a green lid. The recycling service is going to begin immediately the week following your cart delivery. So once your cart's delivered, please start using it immediately. And the following week, you will start your recycling collection. A cart survey was sent out in May to residents, giving you an option of what container size you want. We know that some folks have some space constraints, depending if you live in a townhome or a condo. It could just be you have a smaller side yard. And so a survey was sent out. We did receive about 6,000 responses out of 23,000 homes. So we did get quite a response, but we do have my survey cards here available for you. And that you can fill out, and you have until September 1st. So we say you see the cards displayed here that give you an idea of the different sizes. If you want to give us your card today, that's fine. Or you can bring it back and drop it off to the district, or you're also available to go online to the district's website and follow the links, and you can fill out the survey online if you don't want to fill out a card today. Just to restate, you see the picture there here, the containers are 35-gallon, 65-gallon, and 95-gallon carts. And so your standard service moving forward will be, as I mentioned, 1 landfill cart, 1 recycle cart, and 1 organics cart. but unique to CMSD, residents are able to have a second organics cart at no charge. So if that's something that you have a lot of greenery at your house, foliage, you trim from year to year, maybe you don't need it every week. But I just want to make sure everyone knew that that is part of your current rate structure. You can have a second organics cart at no charge. The other thing that's unique that we're offering is because of some space constraints, as you can see, I don't know if any, well, I do know, I should say, based on our current data in our systems, the majority of our residents have the middle-sized cart, the 65 gallon. The 95 is quite large, but if you have space constraints, like I mentioned, maybe you keep your parts in the garage or you have a small access gate, not a lot of space, you can have two 35 gallon carts of any size at no additional cost. So in other words, rather than having one big 95 or one big 65, you can have two 35s in its place and you wouldn't be charged that second rate. As part of this process, if you do have two mixed waste carts and you want to keep that second mixed waste cart, which is now going to become your landfill cart, you can keep it. You just need to let us know, but there is a $9 charge for a second landfill cart. So that is available, and we did get quite a few people that did send their survey cards back saying, I want to keep my second cart, please don't remove it. So again, that's an option. If you're not sure and you want us to take it away, that's fine, because that's what will automatically happen, and you decide later, hey, I think I need a second landfill cart, you can just call the office and request a second landfill cart at any time. That's something if you want to once you get your three cart system, you can make changes at any time by calling the office.
Can I ask a question?
We prefer to leave them to the end because we might answer some of the questions if that's okay. We might cover your question. Let's see here. One other unique point we wanted to make is if you have your two mixed waste carts today, we do see in our system that some folks may have a 95 gallon from years before and a 65 gallon mixed waste cart. When we do the exchange, we will remove the smaller of the two. So if you, like I said, we won't take away the bigger mixed waste cart, we'll take away the smaller mixed waste cart if you happen to have two today. And then again, later, as I mentioned, if you want to change those out, you want all 65s or you want to change sizes, you can do that later down. So we wanted to show this picture to give you an idea of what it actually looks like when we come out and do the exchange. So on the Friday before your exchange, we will do an auto dial to the residents, letting them know that next week on your service day, you're going to get your recycling cart and we're going to take your mixed waste cart away. So we will do that. We're going to be doing a social media with a QR code. We may not have, obviously, not everyone uses their landline like they used to. It depends on when's the last time you've ever called CR&R. If you've called us in the last 2 or 3 years for maybe a mobile pickup or a card exchange, we probably have your current phone number. But if we don't have your current phone number, if you want to call our office, we can update the account because you're only going to get the auto dial if we have a current number. And like I said, I know this is with many of the cities we serve. If you don't call, we probably have an old landline that you probably don't even use anymore. So we're going to do something to put out there that before the rollout happens in October that you can give us your updated contact information. So you'll get the phone call, and then what happens is we'll have it routed throughout the city in quadrants as these exchange happens. As I mentioned, they happen on your service day. We'll bring your carts out based on the survey, and if we didn't receive a survey from you, your delivery will be for your recycle cart, what we call like for like. So if in our system that we show that you have the 65 gallon carts, that'll be the size recycle container we'll give you. So we'll deliver you a 65 gallon recycle cart and we'll take away one 65 gallon mixed waste cart. So it'll be exactly what you have. These are the trucks that we actually use, are semi trucks, and they're loaded. It's a very organized process by address in order. So we know exactly as these guys are offloading the containers off the truck, exactly what size parts are going to every single house. So as you can see, the truck is going to be full of carts. So what we do is we do the deliveries of all the recycled parts first. And then we have to go back through the neighborhood a second time and then pull back the mixed waste part to load back into the empty truck. So I bring that up for a reason is because sometimes we'll get phone calls from residents saying, hey, I'm watching the guy deliver my recycling cart, but he didn't take it away like he was supposed to. And that's the reason is because we have to offload the truck first, then to load it up with the mixed waste parts. So the next thing that will happen is, mostly today the carts are mixed waste. They don't have labeling as you hear. We talk about this 3-cart system, and you have a landfill, a recycle, organic. So the week following your delivery of your recycling container, we will have a crew come back out and put labels that you can see up here on the top, on top of your mixed waste cart, which is now becoming your landfill cart. So that way it's to help identify for the residents what they're supposed to put in a different container. So we will do that labeling. Any cart exchange requests that we may get after September 1st will not be completed until January. That's to get us through this process of getting everything exchanged that was pre-ordered, or as I mentioned, everything is very synchronized with a schedule. And so if you decide, maybe after September 1st, oh shoot, I think I want to change the size of parts, you can do that, but we ask that you wait till after January to ask for those exchanges. And then lastly, there will not be any change in collection days. Everything will remain the same. The only thing that's different is instead of 2 trucks, now you'll have 3 trucks that come to your home every week. And that's similar how we provide the service throughout all of Orange County and other counties that we serve. So like I said, it'll be 3 separate vehicles because now you have 3 separate waste streams that we have to collect and take to different facilities. So I believe, as you've seen, we've conducted a lot of education and outreach. The town halls, as Scott mentioned earlier, we had one Wednesday night, we have one today, and then we're going to do 2 more sessions in October. So if you have neighbors, family, or friends that ask questions, I would encourage them to come back and see us in October, and we're going to do those at the Norma Herzog Community Center. And then we've also done, and I highly encourage you to visit CMSD's website for all this information. But we've done a lot of outreach in regards to flyers, social media posts, mailings, billing inserts through Mesa Water District, some videos that the district has put together. So there's a lot of information if you want to go onto the district's website that you can grab copies. And then in addition, in September, CRNR will also be mailing a card to each of you kind of with a reminder of what we talked about today, which covers most importantly my last slide, which is what goes where. And so I see a lot of you grab that. Just to restate how it's done in the past, recycling has occurred, but we've been doing it for you. So when we bring those mixed waste carts to our facility in Stanton, they go to our MRF, a material recovery facility, which all the waste is dumped onto a conveyor belt with folks at the top that are pulling off all the recyclables. So basically we're sorting through your trash, diapers, pet waste, food. It's not pretty. And we've been doing that for you. And so now a lot of the reason, as Marissa has described, of why we're doing this is just imagine those other items I just mentioned that are touching cardboard, paper. The material isn't really clean. And as much as we'd like to recycle, as much as we want to, some of it becomes contaminated if it's soiled with some of that other material. So when you go to a 3-part source separated system, the recyclables are obviously much cleaner. And so we have this what goes where, and we realize, like I said, we've been doing the work for you for years. And so we get that it's something new. And this will be similar to some of the outreach that we'll be doing to remind people. Everyone knows about your plastic drinking bottles, wine bottles, aluminum cans. And all that has CRB material that we know a lot of folks have been taking to OCC, and we know they are going to open back up in October. And so, and I will let Scott maybe talk about that a little bit more. He has more of the specifics. And that part is great. We encourage you to still do that, right? I do that. Get money for your cans and bottles. We got to pay for it at the store. It's nice to get a little bit of money back. But the part that we want to focus on and what Marissa covered is, but there's so much more that's recyclable that we want to keep out of the landfills. I was referenced really from the bathrooms that we don't think about, all your lotion bottles, shampoo bottles, when the deodorant is gone, aerosol cans, hairspray cans, all hair supply products that come in all of that is recyclable. So when those are empty, they should go into the recycle part. Those are things that OCC is not gonna take and there's no redemption value for. And we talk about also from the paper side, junk mail, magazines, we still get that. Most of us have gone to electronic newspapers, but you still get the junk mail, you get it's political season, there's a lot of ads, voting things, all of that goes into the recycle. And then I go back to the kitchen, the things that you may not think about, all your vegetable cans, your tin cans, from the fridge, pickle jars, jelly jars, peanut butter, plastic, all of that stuff. It does not have to be completely clean. I say give it a rinse, give it a quick swig, lift the lid on and everything, and that all goes into recycling. So again, a lot of outreach that we're gonna follow up with, just as friendly reminders outside of that. So with that, I believe that concludes my part, and then I'll turn it back over to Marissa, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. So we are going to start with some frequently asked questions that we've heard that have come in through email or over the phone, and then we'll get into the questions that you have. So first, that we have heard from quite a few people is, what if I don't have room for these carts? And there are a few different components to this. First, we're hoping that the 3 different size options will address that. So if you thought maybe like a more narrow space, the 35-pound is a good option. But we're hoping that with that combination, we can figure out a way to make those work for you. If you have concerns about storing these carts, having room to store them out of public view, because we know that the city does require that they're stored out of public view. The city is very willing and able to assist with locating an area or coming out and telling you, yes, it's out of view in this location, or where can we work with you and see where we can keep it. So we've spoken with them. They're very happy to work with you on that. So if you have concerns, please let us know. We can put you in contact with them. Another concern that we've heard is curbside placement. So maybe you're in an HOA area and you've got limited curb space for multiple homes and you're concerned about putting those carts curbside. That's something that we'd like to come out and work with you on a case-by-case basis. So myself and TRNR, we can set up a site visit, come out and take a look at your area and see what sort of solutions we can come up with for you. So another question that we've heard, I recycle on my own, am I still required to have a recycling cart? So that's great. We're happy that you're recycling on your own. You're absolutely more than welcome to continue recycling on your own, taking those CRV items for recycling. As Julie mentioned, the cart can still be used for those non-CRV items or items that you're not taking maybe to a recycling center. And then unfortunately, as we've talked about, SB 1383 does require this system. So the cart is required. Can I keep my second mixed waste landfill cart? So we kind of touched on this as well with the new system. Standard service will be 1 landfill, 1 recycling, and up to 2 organics. The new recycling cart will replace that second mixed waste cart. So the hope is that, the items that you were using to fill up the 2 carts will now be split between the recycling and the landfill cart. But if you do, and you are also able to upsize to that 95-gallon that isn't currently available, so that will hopefully help to increase your capacity. But if you do want to have that second landfill cart, you can do so for the $9 per month. And then this is also something that I believe Julie addressed due to space or mobility concerns. A 65 or a 95, so the largest size is too large, they are have 2 35-gallon carts instead. So yes, if you've got concern with the larger size carts, you can have 2 of those 35-gallon in place of 1 of the larger carts, and that will apply to all 3, so the recycling, the landfill, and the organics cart. And this is just a visual representation of the cart system, the sizes, and then the number of carts. So as you can see, if you elect for the 95 or 65 in recycling or landfill, it's 1 of those. In the organics cart, because you can have up to 2, you can have up to 2 of the 95, up to 2 of the 65, and then for all of the carts, you can have 2 of those 35, 1 or 2 of those 35-gallon. So, what if I receive my carts during the rollout and decide that a bigger or smaller cart would best accommodate my needs? So if you've made your selection, you receive that cart and it just isn't quite working out for you, absolutely, you can let us know. You can submit a request on our service request website. You can call CRNR. We'll take those requests down, we'll get them on schedule, but it will take place after the rollout has concluded in January. I need a second landfill cart occasionally for holidays or spring cleaning. So we've heard this from some customers. You have that second cart currently, but you're only using it on occasion. And rather than paying $9 per month for that extra cart, we do have a large item pickup program. So every customer has 3 of those large item pickup requests per year, up to 10 items per pickup. And it is furniture, appliances, large items, but you can also use it for extra waste. So if you've done some extra landscaping and you've got extra organic material, or you've had, a family event or something, you've just got extra bag waste, then you can request that we come pick that up as a large item. And then the last FAQ that we have is, do I need to wash recyclables such as peanut butter jars and ketchup bottles? So we've heard that question, how far do I have to take it? Do I have to put labels? Do I have to scrub? No, we don't need to do that. The kind of tip that we have is to think empty, clean, and dry. So make sure there isn't food material in there or a lot of material in there, and then clean and dry, but you don't have to wash, you don't have to peel labels, you don't have to do anything like that. So that concludes FAQs. We'll move to questions. We'll start with question cards. If you filled out a question card and you want to hold it up, you can come and get it from you.
Could you go back to that one slide that's the longer too?
So we do just want to ask, when we're answering questions from the audience, that the person in the audience have a microphone for our viewers listening at home, just so they can hear the questions that are coming in. So we'll hand you the microphone, and then if you could repeat the question. This was the slide. And this presentation is on our website, so you can go online and reference it. You can read through it. All of the slides are there. There's a lot of additional resources on our website as well. And then always feel free to send our email if you have any questions. Did you have a, that was it, you just wanted to start?
Hi, thank you very much for this. Great to see this building finally. I feel like I'm in school with that old school clock there. I appreciate it. I think it's much older than the building. My name's Eric Roberts. I live nearby, near Costa Mesa Park. One of the questions I have, not related to this issue right now, is sidewalks would be nice. 2 to 55. We're able-bodied, but a lot of people aren't. We'll go over that later. But regarding this right here, so maybe some other people in our situation. Got a single family detached home. I'm looking at, we can't have 2 35-gallon recycling carts. We already got 2 organics carts. And yeah, and it's listed out there. But we can keep one of the big boys. I think we got the 95, we got old school mixed use, correct?
Yes, you can keep that.
Great. And there's a friend of mine, my fellow citizens here. I've used many times, and other neighbors, feel free to ask your neighbors if you could use their empty space, especially for the land, like that, because batch processing when you're cutting down trees or shrubs or things like that. They're often empty. My first question is, for now, what is the district, what is CNRR doing with the old carts? Are you recycling?
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. So yes, the cards are recycled or repurposed. So if we could use them, so obviously the mixed waste cards, we will still use. So we need to exchange cards. A lot of them, the mixed waste cards do have CMSD's logo on them. So we will be cleaning them, completely washing them, putting the landfill labels on them. So throughout a period of time, if folks need an exchange or they say I want an extra one, we will use those. But the ones that we don't, we do send them back to a company that will basically melt them and recycle those. So those will not go to waste.
Did you have any other questions, or was that your last one?
Yeah, when you come up that day, we have to be out there with them to make sure.
No, so you just put it out for service like you normally would, and then based on this method, do you have a card that you're concerned that you're going to remove?
There's a cart, I actually never used it, it was supposed to be, someone stole my big can a few years back. And you guys brought a small one that's
The 60.
black top, never used it, so I would just put that out.
But you would just put
That one is the general waste, right, the black top one?
that's what we're using for mixed waste.
Okay, and then the other question is, my neighbor puts their cans real close to mine, and there's cars, sometimes I can't even get my cans out because people park there, and I'm not even leaving to put them out. Sometimes I don't get my trash picked up, you know, they might,
Yeah, we
it
can
might
come
be one
out.
of those days
Yeah.
where they, you know, one of those.
We can come out, I can give you my card, and we can set something up to come out and take a look, you know, what we're dealing with, and I can have Sarah Martin with me, and we can see what our options are,
Okay,
just for space.
okay.
I have a question. I have a question about the recyclables. You said we don't need to take the labels off the tin cans either. But the jars you want rinsed out.
We'd like them to,
Dry,
just
so
to
does that mean
yeah.
she had mentioned, and somebody had mentioned, put the lid back on, put it in your recycle.
No, Julie said they don't have to be totally dry, so.
Okay, so you'd rather have the lid back on the jar?
You can leave it off, it's your preference.
Okay, cause like the aerosol cans, those plastic lids,
It's all recyclable,
it is, even though if it doesn't have a number on
correct, it is.
it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, fine.
Well, some of the questions I had have been kind of answered. A concern of mine is, okay, now we have 2 big heavy trash trucks coming on our streets once a week. Then we're gonna have 3. That is gonna up the cost for street maintenance quite a bit. I called the city about this a while ago. I'm wondering that if after you get this whole thing going and you see that maybe one of the trash cans, you know, doesn't get put out, but maybe once or twice a month. And, you know, maybe one of the same ones, is only a quarter to a half full. It does get put out every month, or every week rather. Is there any kind of a plan to maybe, you know, stagger these pickups so that you don't have 3 big heavy trash trucks coming down your street? Cause I know where I live, the streets, the top layer of asphalt is coming off in different places. And the city's gonna have a lot more maintenance and nobody's paying for this except us, you know?
Yeah, I know, I do understand your concerns. Unfortunately, with the 3-cart system, the 3 carts are required. It is a weekly service. Unfortunately, because everybody's level of waste disposal is different, there really wouldn't be a way to identify, you know, that every other week is sufficient in certain areas, so it is gonna be that weekly service.
And did you say that, Orange Coast College is gonna continue their recycling?
I'll actually let Scott speak on that. I think he has an update on OCC recycling.
Thank you. Yes, we've been in constant communications with OCC officials. And what they've told us is they entered a contract with a third party to operate facility. They're called OC Recycling. OC Recycling has submitted an application to the state. Just waiting for the state to approve it. Once it's approved, then they'll start marketing the opening of OCC. We're going to assist as well, marketing the opening of the recycling center. I'm anticipating October, probably open to the public. So there is light in the tunnel. It is going to be open. So just be a little more patient. It will open.
Never mind.
Okay, I have 2 of the landfill cards, the large ones, and I have 2 organic cards. Will you pick them all up? Or am I going to be charged if one?
So if you want to keep the second mixed waste that's going to become a landfill cart, there would be a $9 fee, but we'll automatically remove the second mixed waste if you don't tell us that you want that second mixed waste cart, and you're still able to have the 2 organics carts. So those will remain. One of your second mixed waste carts will be removed, and then we'll deliver the blue recycling cart.
Okay, the landfill carts, they are large.
So you have the option, there's 3 size options.
I know, I already made a choice, online.
Okay.
So will you pick up both of them, the 2 big ones?
Oh, are you asking for us to bring you a bigger size than you
No, no,
have?
no, 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 I just want to make sure I'm not charged for one that I actually don't use.
No, so we're automatically removing your second landfill. So you won't be charged
Okay,
unless you tell us that you want to keep the second.
okay, thank you.
There's one particular that's being on exchange, we just leave it out.
So we asked, I think if you want to put like a note or something on the cart that you want to keep, or on the one that you want to have removed, you can do that. So, 'cause I know some people have a preference, maybe one's a little bit newer or something else. So just mark it so they know which one. So you can still put them out for service like you normally would, just note, we know which one. Did we have any other?
Thank you. One quick one. Used pizza boxes, recyclables or?
So food soil paper is recyclable with our organics material, so that can actually go into your organics. If it's just clean cardboard, then recycling, but those food soil pizza boxes can go into your green.
Right, so this is very nice, this cart.
Good.
So maybe in future editions that for some households, a few times a week they do that.
Yeah.
And you say it's about fun. Longer question related to the lady's question regarding impacts of additional trucks, which I'm fine with, but not if, but when is Costa Mesa Sanitary District going to use contract for all electric refuse pickup trucks? The noise will be dramatically reduced, obviously less pollution, and cost will be incurred as well for the long term.
So I'll take that question, and we actually are gonna be regulated by the state. So many years ago, we used to run diesel trucks, same as buses, semi trucks, and then they switched to natural gas vehicles. That was state law. I wanna say, I think it was 2011, all trash companies in the industry were required to run compressed natural gas, CNG trucks, and CARB, who is another regulatory agency, California Air Resources Board. It was approved earlier this year that all trash trucks will transition to electric by the year 2034, 35, something like that. So it is coming. I will tell you that there are only 2 electric trucks running right now in Southern California, because the technology is still not there yet. And then, of course, comes the situation with infrastructure. So they're coming, they are on their way. We are already in the process of purchasing. We're gonna start off with smaller trucks. So we have what we refer to as box trucks and flatbed trucks that we use for cart deliveries, exchanges, bulk item collection. So we're gonna transition those trucks in the next couple of years to be electric. So we are deciding as a company to move forward. We're still holding back a little bit on the technology for the electric trash trucks, but they are coming and it's a state regulation.
Great, thank you. No, great answer. Those are medium duty trucks we're talking about, the flatbed?
Yes,
Yeah.
these look like the big, I always compared to U-Haul, the box trucks we use, yeah, and then the flatbed trucks that we use to carry our bins or carts, yes.
There's a company out of Garden Grove, Harbinger, I think that they make those, so that should be, maybe they'll give you a local Orange County discount. One of the quick questions, and I'm done, was, forgot. It'll come back, but, thank you again for this is really great. Maybe in the future, maybe like once a year, like what is recyclable, what is organic, just a sort of refresher every year or something like that. Great.
Oh, definitely, and as I mentioned, when we do our reminder part in September about look out for your recycling cart, I will include this graphic on it, and I will add the pizza boxes, because I'm glad to hear that everyone still has pizza once a week. I did as a kid, right? Well, we say once a week, I mean, sometimes it's twice, but I'll just say once. Anyway, so I will add that, because I think it's just a common thing. If you still have a slice or two left over, you don't take it out of the box, throw the whole thing in your organics cart.
Big Italian Julie's pizza about 4 times a week, I think. Just on behalf of the board, first of all, thank you all for being here, taking Saturday morning. You could be home watching the USA women's soccer game. You wanna know the score?
Recording.
Okay. Never mind. I just, talking about the trucks and having 3 trucks on your street in order to accommodate this, we have to remember that we don't get a choice in this. The state's telling us we have to do that. That being said, we as a board had discussed, well, maybe we could do kind of a staggered thing, like on your regular service day, your landfill and your organics gets picked up. But then another day of the week, you'll have your organics or your recycled picked up. And I'm seeing heads shake. As a collective of the board, we don't want you to have to remember, oh, it's Tuesday, do I put out my recycles? Yeah.
No way.
No, so
Day a week.
the best worst alternative was to have all 3 trucks on one day to meet the requirements of the state. So we, you know, we're all residents of Costa Mesa, and we have the same thing that you all do. So we recognize that having 3 trucks is not the best thing, but we have a choice. So hopefully use electric trucks, or until they get to a truck that has separate bins for the different thing, but we'll leave that up to the hauler to figure it out. Thank you.
Were there any other questions?
Hi, yeah, you know, I own, apartment building, 4 units. And, you don't want me to take huge containers to eat. I cannot handle 12 containers. I can only handle 8. Now, when we started this, we had to put it with the type we have right now. I got a pass on that because they came down, well, they took a picture of that thing. And they came down and they looked and realized I have no room to do it. So basically, I only have room for 8. But since there's only really 6 people living in these 4 units, what I'm trying to do is minorize some of the things that I need, because basically the most things we have in our place is things for gardening. We have a lot of stuff around, and I'm thinking, you know, I know that for gardening we can use the green one, also the plastic with the food and all that other kind of stuff, and the garbage and other things. A lot of people have that. A lot of the people in the apartments get a lot of boxes, and that takes a lot of room. I don't care about that. I was more worried about doing the next bit. Instead of giving what you want to give me, if I have a choice of what you can give me and where I can put it. Because I have 8 now, and I know I put one section at the back of my apartment and another one behind the apartment of being 2. So that's out of the way, and the other 6 stay right in the middle between the 2 garages. Everything works very fine.
Sure, so when the organic recycling program first came out, when we first implemented it, we did have that option for exemptions. Unfortunately now with SB 1383, the system is mandated, so the organics part, the recycling part, the landfill part.
Where am I supposed to put it?
It is required, we can come out and work with you if you'd like to set up.
You have to work with me, because I have no place to put the
Yeah,
garbage.
we'll come out.
Unless they go out in the street, and they're not gonna be in front of my people's apartment.
We'll
I mean,
come
it's
out.
like the front door.
We'll come out. Yeah, we definitely wanna help as much as we can, make it
I know,
work.
I think I
We
got
are
from the
required.
fire department, so it was very good. And I realized, you know, what, and are you gonna take all the original ones we have now out of here? All
It
the,
depends on what sizes you ask for, so if you requested to keep the sizes you have, then no. If you have 2 mixed waste for any of those units. then
so I mean,
the
what
second
right
one.
now, what I have right now, all the ones we have right now are all the same. There are nothing like that. They're old.
So you have only mixed,
Well, at the end of the meeting, we'll give us your name and address and location, we'll come out to your site.
Well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
next question.
Yeah.
This is more of a wish rather than a. I keep seeing, these advertisements to have these trucks, and clean the trash cans for you. Have you guys ever like, maybe like once a year at Christmas, I don't know, come out and just offer us to clean our trash cans with these, machines that clean trash cans?
The short answer is no, but if you want a simple way to clean your cans, just call CRR and we'll switch it out.
Oh, okay.
So, okay.
And then the next one, I have 2 days of these, right? And I probably didn't keep the same. And so I know they're a little sticker for the landfill. And then on the other mixed waste, is that just gonna be a sticker for like organics? And then I'll get a brand new recycling. And if I decide to switch my 95, I can just fill out this card and go, oh, I want to get 2 of the little ones. And then, so that's what I'm doing. And even if I've already filled out the cards that I want all 3 to be big ones, I today can fill the card out again. And when the rollout comes, I don't have to wait for the.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
I just wanted to add to that, so as part of our agreement with the district, yes, we do an exchange 1 time per year, and we do have in some cases, some residents that want that you can exchange any of your cards 1 time per year at no charge. If you wanted it done more than that, there is a small fee to do that, but the other thing is, like I said, I see those commercials too, I'll just tell you, I called one of them just to see, they charge you $70 to do clean your card. So I'd say, do it yourself. I do mine over the lawn, right? So clean the green, keep the water on your grass, because it's really the green one which gets the smelliest. But yeah, again, then everything comes cost, and then there's water, and the reason it's expensive too is there's water containment, we have, regulations, so we gotta make sure that nothing goes into the storm drain, so it's very cost prohibitive, so it's better off that you just call us and we exchange it for another one.
Thank you for the presentation. It sounds like from what you're saying, the recycling part, you're accepting a lot more items than OCC or some
Yes.
commercial recyclers.
Yes.
Because I know, I guess OCC or I have, since they were closed, I was taking items down off a new one. And they only took, the number 1 and 2 recycling plastics.
Yes.
So you're taking
Everything.
everything with a recycled 20.
Yeah, 1 through 7 are the numbers, yes. And I will tell you, so I live in Costa Mesa now also, but I lived in the Inland Empire previous to here. And I know some people in the room live in other cities. I will tell you that once you get the hang of what's recyclable, your landfill cart will pretty much be empty. Your recycle cart will be overflowing. And so break down your boxes. Make sure you break your boxes down. It takes a little more work. But speaking of boxes, I'll just add, if you still have a family that eats cereal, pasta boxes, all that stuff is cardboard, flatten it and all that stuff goes in. But I assure you, once you get the hang of it, your landfill cart will be half full. And the other ones will be full, which is what we want. Going back to, we have to preserve the landfills. Aside from the greenhouse gas emissions, I don't wanna pay, $100 a month for trash services, we have to rail it out to the desert, and in time, that is what will happen.
Okay, that's good news. I'll try and, well, I recycle that. So what happens if you mentioned jam jars, jelly, whatever, you've got a mix of a metal lid and a glass container, that's still going recycle?
It still goes recycle, yeah, that metal lid is considered tin metal, that'll get recycled. So the whole point is for this is to make it as easy as possible for the consumer. There was a day, and I'm glad that it mentioned when recycling started, the first legislation went through in 1989 that the state put out about having to recycle. Back then, if you got an envelope in the mail and that plastic liner that you see, that had to be taken off. I mean, you had to remove staples, you had to remove labels, and again, the machinery, once it goes to the processing center, so we get all the material, it gets baled, we ship it off and market it to end users, and they're gonna make it out of new recyclable material. The best way I can describe it is, when it comes to the plastic illumins, they go in gigantic blenders that basically clean everything for you. So for me, it's more of no different than it was in your trash, it's more of maybe a pest control issue, a smell issue, that you give everything a quick little swig. You know, that's what I do with my vegetable cans, whatever, after you open them. It's really more just not to attract critters, right? Is really the purpose. Otherwise, the back end, all the technology and machinery, they clean all the recyclables. Obviously, they have to before they make it to something new.
Okay, so if you want to recycle a magazine, you don't have to pull out the state.
No.
Nope, old books, that all goes in. You don't have to take that thick, you know, paperback books, hardback books, all that can go in your recycling container. It'll be handled on the back end.
Thank you.
Julie.
Yes. Oh, lid flip. So something that didn't come up, we do want to mention, so as part of the SB 1383 legislation, the state also requires that we come out and do route reviews, and we've tried to dumb it down to the term of lid flips. So we already do them today, and maybe you've seen us, but the CRNR team will have our safety vests on, and they will look through all 3 cars. And really what it's about is, we're not policing you, it's not to say gotcha, but it's really to be more education. And this is part of it, the state requires it, that we look through all the containers and we'll leave a friendly tag that says, oops, and we'll check the box. But we have to look through, for the state, every container. And what we're looking for is, they call it contamination. It's not contamination. We're trying to, you know, help you with proper source separation, making sure you know which part to put which items into. And it's a requirement. We have to supply the information when we do these audits to the district. The district has to supply these audits to the state once a year. How many route reviews did you do? How many customers did you see had contamination? It's not contamination, you just put it in the wrong cart. And so thank you, President Schaefer, for bringing that up. But it's important because we will be out there. We've already started doing it this year. But now that you've come and you've seen all this, if you see us, that's what we're doing. We're I guess we are kind of spying on you, but not in a bad way. We're just trying to help you make sure you're putting it in the right place.
I think in the newsletter, Space and Bernie keeps being #1 on doing a really good job. So I think that's kind of encouragement.
Yes.
So keep that up. That kind of goes into my question is, I think now we have the organics part, and a lot of people who do major trimming, pruning, or whatever, fill up those organic parts, and then they'll be tempted to put it into the landfill part. Is that acceptable or not acceptable?
It will go to the landfill. It will not be recycled. So if it goes in that landfill part, it's going to the landfill. So the answer is no. What we would ask is, it was kind of mentioned earlier by Marissa, is, you know, if you're going through and you're doing your pruning and doing all your cutting and trimming, 2 things, if you could save some of it for the following week and then just put it in your organics part the following week, or if you just want to get it done and want it gone, I would schedule the bulk item pickup. So what we ask you can have bagged, or you can, we ask you to cut, if it's trees, cut them in 4-foot lengths and bundle them. And you can have 10 bags or 10 bundles, whatever you have, and use that as a bulky pickup. But yeah, if it goes in the landfill part, any overflow, once it goes in the landfill part, it's going to the landfill.
I think also what would be helpful for your chart is if you did like one more column, like these are not acceptable. Like don't put used oil, don't put spray paint.
We did put it at the bottom.
Oh, the bottom.
Yeah, we did bottom, and since you brought that up, I did want to make sure it's part of our service. We do also provide household hazardous waste collection, which is part of your rate of service that you pay for, and we do provide that. We pick it up, and then there's also roundups. So Marissa, if you want to talk a little more detail, because that is important. I thank you for bringing that up.
I can see the bottom.
And we do have it on the labels on the carts as a warning. Batteries and other pesticides cause trash truck fires. And we have a lot of fires for that kind of material that ends up in our containers and shouldn't be. So thank you for bringing that up.
About the 4-foot pieces of tree branch, would you rather that not go in the organics part?
It's okay if it goes in, we're okay with that.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I have like bamboo.
Yeah, no, we're okay if it goes in, that's fine.
I don't know if I need that, but
Do they want you
what
to
about
use
the
it?
palms? I
You have to talk in the
understand.
microphone for the YouTube streaming.
What about the palms? I understand they can't go in the organic car.
No, palm fronds are landfill.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
thank you, yeah.
I have a basic chicken and egg question. How many, so we wanted to do organics, we've been doing, organics, turn into the city for years, we have an organics fail. How many are those, a lot of, I don't think that was mentioned today. So we need to start using, maybe the participants of things today to get one right now. Today.
Yep, they're here in the lobby for you, so if you, and it's up to you what you wanna do, it's a way to make it easy, if you wanna use a pail, you don't have to. A lot of folks put their organics into a Ziploc bag and they put it in the freezer, and then on trash day, they dump that Ziploc bag out right into the organics, it's frozen, don't put the Ziploc in, Ziplocs are trash. So you could dump it in and then throw it in your trash. So it, again, yes, we do. Every resident, gets a pail, I think it's one pail at no charge. They are here for you to pick up at the district at any time.
That was my next question. I remember reading, I think last year, each household was available to have 2 of those, no?
No.
So you have 2 of the organics carts,
Yeah.
which is one in the kitchen. You also need
Only one,
Yeah.
okay. My other question is, the coffee kicked in, my memory remembers now. SB 1383. It doesn't surprise me that Costa Mesa is again leading the way on something progressive and smart management. Are you discussing doing Zooms with the other great cities, somewhat Central California, Santa Barbara, and Northern California, Santa Clara, best practices in implementing this? And in the future, are you guys coordinating with them, trying to learn from them and vice versa?
Sure, yes, we definitely, we connect with other organizations when we go to conferences. Marissa will go to a lot of statewide national conferences, we network with other organizations. Keep in mind, we were the first organization in Southern California to do recycled food scraps. So we were way ahead of the game from what most people have been. I know at Santa Barbara, San Jose, they do use a high diversion organics facility. So, but their, their rates are double than ours. So it's a kind of, what do you want? You want to pay more? Yes. You want to go hybrid? Yeah. If you pay more, you think this program is cost effective, efficient, and it's very effective.
Thank you, teacher.
Any more questions?
I heard someone ask about chip bags, so flexible plastics, things that are, you can bend plastic bags, cellophane, chip bags, those are not recyclable. So any of those flexible plastics, those will go in your house. If it's a flexible plastic, yeah, like a cellophane wrap or a plastic bag, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying really hard, I have hearing aids, and I'm hearing too many things all at once, right? Okay, my question is an organizational one. I'm trying to figure out in my own head, of how you're supposed to sort this stuff before you get it to the can. Because I have waste baskets at my house, and I just put things in the waste basket, when I get ready to, and then when I get ready to, go to the house, then I start collecting everything. And how did
Sure, so Julie actually shared what she does at home at our last town hall, and that's to set out like a paper bag or a box. So as you're getting those recyclable items, as you're emptying your lotion bottle, you're emptying a jar in your kitchen, you can just put it into that bag or that box. And then when you're ready, you can take that out to your recycling part. So it's just making that.
kind of do a collection.
You do have to kind of adjust, yeah, so it's not all going into the same bag.
I don't even have room for 3 carts, so I don't.
The additional $9 a month, is that on your water bill?
So that's actually billed by CRNR directly. So your regular rate is on your property tax bill. Any of those additional services, so that extra part, it would be billed quarterly by CRNR. So they would collect your billing information and then send you that bill.
Because I have properties on the other side of town and I don't know what the tenants are doing.
So if they had requested it, then they would be paying for it. So as the property owner, additional cart charges will not be on your property tax bill. They would have to have arranged payment for that. Have any other questions? Well, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your time and your questions. We're always here. If you have, questions after you go home, you can email us, you can call us. We do have cart surveys here. So if you haven't filled one out or you want to make a change, you can do that and leave it with us. And then we're here to answer any questions that you have before you leave.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.